When life slows down after 60, something magical happens. Suddenly, you notice the simple joys you might have rushed past before. The golden light of morning streaming through your window, a grandchild's infectious laugh, or the luxury of savoring your coffee without checking the time. You're no longer building a future, you're living it. And every choice about how you spend your precious time, energy, and yes, your money, carries more weight than ever before. But sometimes, without even realizing it, we hold on to spending habits that made sense decades ago, but now quietly drain our joy, our peace, and our savings. Today, I want to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you about those spending traps that often sneak into our lives after 60. Not to judge or criticize, but to gently invite you to reconsider what truly matters in this beautiful chapter of life. Have you ever bought something expensive, only to wonder later why it didn't bring the happiness you expected? Type "been there" in the comments if you've experienced this too. Because if any of these stories feel familiar, I want you to know you're not alone. Every woman I know is still learning, still growing, still figuring things out. And that's something to celebrate, not apologize for. So pour yourself a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's talk about the small money choices that can quietly transform your retirement years from stressful to joyful. 1. Designer labels that don't add value. Let's start with something many of us have fallen for at some point: expensive designer clothing and accessories. For decades, many women believed that elegance came with a luxury price tag, that somehow, having the right label made us more respected, more valued, more visible. We invested in those designer blouses, handbags, and shoes because looking polished helped us feel confident. Meet Sarah, 67, who lives in a charming neighborhood in Massachusetts. Her closet was once filled with high-end brands: Chanel, Coach, Ralph Lauren. Every morning, she'd carefully select the perfect outfit, matching her jewelry and scarves just so, making sure everything was impeccable. But something shifted after retirement. One morning, standing before her overstuffed closet, Sarah asked herself a question that changed everything. Who am I dressing for now? Her days had become gentler, more relaxed. She was spending time baking with grandchildren, tending her garden, volunteering at the community center. None of those meaningful activities required $300 shoes or designer handbags. What they asked for was her presence, her comfort, her authentic self. I realized I'd been dressing for other people's approval for decades, Sarah told me. Now I dress for my own joy. Today, Sarah still looks beautiful, but her favorite clothes are simple, comfortable, and easy to move in. She says the most valuable thing she wears now is her genuine smile, and she means it. Because here's the truth: real elegance comes from within. It's in how you make someone feel in your presence. It's in the warmth of your voice when sharing a story. It's in how your eyes light up when your grandchild runs into your arms. You don't need expensive labels to be worthy or beautiful. You already are. So the next time you feel pulled towards something with a flashy designer name, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this adding joy to my life or just cost to my budget? The answer might surprise you, and your wallet will thank you. What's your relationship with designer items now? Have your priorities changed since retirement? Share your thoughts below. 2. Unnecessary technology upgrades. Let's talk about something that targets us constantly: the pressure to always upgrade to the latest technology. Every year, newer models of phones, tablets, and smart devices arrive with flashier advertisements promising faster speeds, better cameras, and features we supposedly can't live without. And it's tempting, isn't it? The ads make it sound like we're missing out on something essential if we don't keep up. Martha, 73, from Colorado, has always prided herself on being independent and tech-savvy. When the latest smartphone was released, the one with the advanced camera and premium materials, she thought, why not treat myself? So she spent over $1,200 on a device she hoped would make her daily life easier. But it didn't. Instead, it left her feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. The interface was different. The settings were confusing. She missed important calls because she couldn't figure out how to answer them quickly enough. All I really wanted, Martha confessed, was to video chat with my daughter and see pictures of my new great-grandbaby. Here's the wisdom Martha discovered: technology should serve us, not stress us out. And newer doesn't automatically mean better, especially when the device you already own still works perfectly for your actual needs. Martha eventually returned the expensive phone and went back to her familiar one. Now she feels more in control, more at peace. She uses technology to connect with loved ones, not to chase endless updates. If you feel the pull to upgrade your devices, take a moment to ask yourself, what do I actually use this for? Does my current device still meet those needs? If the answer is yes, give yourself permission to be content with what you have. You're not behind the times for keeping a device that works well for you. You're wise, and wisdom means knowing the difference between what marketing tells you to want and what you truly need. Have you ever felt pressured to upgrade technology that was working perfectly fine? Tell us about your experience in the comments. 3. Credit card interest that drains your savings. Now, let's talk about something that often goes unnoticed but can silently erode your financial security: credit card interest. For many of us, credit cards started as a convenience. A dinner here, a gift there, a quick solution for unexpected expenses. But over time, those balances can grow, and before you know it, you're paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars just in interest, not for things you're enjoying today, but for purchases long forgotten. Patricia, a 71-year-old widow from Arizona, knows this feeling all too well. She spent most of her life being careful with money, but after her husband passed away, her spending habits changed. A little online shopping to fill lonely evenings, sending gifts to faraway grandchildren, updating her home. Nothing extravagant, but it accumulated. One afternoon, while reviewing her finances, Patricia made a shocking discovery. She had paid over $8,500 in credit card interest in just 2 years. Her heart sank as she realized that money could have covered her property taxes, home repairs, or even a meaningful trip with her sister. But Patricia didn't let guilt take over. She took action. She called her bank to negotiate a lower interest rate, created a payment plan she could manage, and sold items she no longer needed. Most importantly, she forgave herself, because learning is part of living at every age. Debt isn't just a financial burden, Patricia shared. It's emotional. It keeps you up at night. It makes you feel trapped. But it doesn't have to define your story. You're not alone if you're carrying this quiet burden. So many women face this challenge, thinking they must solve it all by themselves. But there is help available, and there's always a path forward. The less you owe, the lighter you'll feel. And the lighter you feel, the more joy you can experience in your daily life. You deserve that freedom, and it's never too late to claim it. Are you working to reduce credit card debt? What strategies have helped you? Your experience might help someone else who's struggling. 4. Forgotten subscriptions that silently add up. There's a clever little trick that companies rely on. They count on us forgetting. They expect us to sign up for something during a free trial or on impulse, then never remember to cancel it. Over time, these seemingly small charges, $9.99 here, $14.95 there, slowly drain our accounts without us even noticing. Barbara, 65, from Washington, understands how this happens all too well. During the pandemic lockdowns, she signed up for multiple streaming services: Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, HBO Max, plus several fitness and meditation apps. At the time, it felt reassuring to have so many entertainment options at her fingertips. But months later, Barbara noticed something interesting. She was only watching the same few shows, mostly reruns of classic mysteries and a weekly gardening program. Most of these were actually available for free through her local PBS station or library's digital service. When Barbara finally sat down to review her bank statements, she was stunned to discover she was spending nearly $95 monthly on subscriptions she rarely or never used. That's over $1,100 annually. Money that could have funded a weekend trip with her sister, bolstered her emergency savings, or simply provided peace of mind. I felt so foolish, Barbara admitted. I'd been paying for all these services I barely opened. It was like buying books and never reading them, or paying for meals I never ate. The good news? It's never too late to regain control. Barbara methodically listed every subscription linked to her accounts and canceled all but her 2 favorites. She now rotates services when there's something specific she wants to watch, subscribing for a month and then canceling. Her most valuable discovery was that her public library card provided free access to thousands of movies, documentaries, and courses through apps like Canopy and Libby. No monthly fees, no hidden charges, just quality content available anytime. We're constantly told we need endless options to be entertained, Barbara reflects. But the truth is, less can be more satisfying. When I'm not overwhelmed by choices, I actually enjoy what I choose to watch. If you haven't examined your subscriptions lately, take a few minutes to review your bank and credit card statements. You might be surprised by what you find and how much lighter you feel when you streamline your digital life. What unnecessary subscriptions have you discovered and canceled? Share your subscription shock moment below. 5. Lottery tickets and games of chance. Every week, millions of us experience a moment of hope while clutching lottery tickets and dreaming of what might be. Those few minutes of possibility, imagining debts vanished, dream homes purchased, and family members helped, can feel almost worth the price of admission. But let's have an honest conversation about this habit. Lottery tickets aren't a retirement strategy. They're an expensive dream we keep paying for long after we've forgotten how much it truly costs. Meet Eleanor, 67, from Pennsylvania. For years, she faithfully purchased Powerball tickets twice weekly. Just $10 each time, she'd tell herself, maybe $20 when the jackpot gets really big. For Eleanor, it wasn't even about greed. It was about hope, about imagining possibilities beyond her modest retirement. Every time she lost, she'd shrug and think, maybe next draw. But after playing consistently for 5 years, Eleanor did something she'd never done before. She calculated exactly how much she'd spend on tickets. The total stopped her in her tracks, over $5,200. And that didn't include scratch-offs or the extra tickets she'd buy when jackpots soared. $5,000 gone, with nothing to show for it except a drawer full of worthless paper slips and fading dreams. That was my wake-up moment, Eleanor shared. I realized I wasn't buying a chance at wealth. I was buying a fantasy that never materialized. Meanwhile, real opportunities for joy were passing me by. Eleanor made a life-changing decision. Instead of spending $10 weekly on lottery tickets, she now transfers that amount into a special savings jar labeled Guaranteed Joy. She's used this fund to take a watercolor painting class she'd always been curious about, join day trips with her church group, and purchase special gifts for her grandchildren when they achieve important milestones. The difference is remarkable, she says. Instead of chasing an impossible jackpot, I'm creating small but real moments of happiness. These experiences bring me immediate joy, not empty promises. Here's a truth worth remembering. You're already wealthy in ways that truly matter, in wisdom, in experience, in relationships. That's the kind of richness no lottery ticket can deliver. If you're still buying tickets regularly, consider this gentle invitation. What if you redirected that money towards something that brings certain happiness rather than improbable dreams? Even small amounts, invested differently, can yield guaranteed returns in quality of life. Because the future you want isn't one lucky breakaway. It's built one wise choice at a time. Do you have a lottery habit? Have you ever calculated what it costs yearly? Share your thoughts below. 6. Expensive food delivery that costs more than convenience. There's something undeniably tempting about food delivery services. A few taps on your phone, and dinner arrives at your doorstep. No shopping, no cooking, no cleanup, just instant gratification. But over time, this convenience comes with hidden costs, not just to your wallet, but to your health, connections, and overall well-being. Consider Margaret, a 64-year-old from Virginia, who began relying heavily on delivery apps after her husband passed away. Cooking for one felt pointless and lonely, so ordering in became her new normal, 4 or 5 times weekly, sometimes more. At first, it seemed like self-care. Why shouldn't she treat herself? But during a routine checkup a year later, her doctor delivered concerning news. Her blood pressure had risen significantly, her cholesterol was elevated, and she'd gained weight that was putting strain on her knees. Beyond the physical impacts, Margaret admitted to feeling increasingly isolated and lethargic. Curious about the financial impact, Margaret reviewed her spending and was shocked to discover she'd spent over $3,400 that year, not on exceptional cuisine, but on meals that were typically high in sodium, packed with preservatives, and eaten alone while watching television. This revelation became her turning point. Margaret made a simple commitment to herself: 3 home-cooked meals weekly. Nothing complicated, just real food prepared with intention. She started with basics: vegetable soup, roasted chicken with herbs from her windowsill, simple salads with fresh ingredients. Something unexpected happened as she chopped, stirred, and seasoned. She began enjoying the process. The aroma of garlic sautéing in olive oil, the rhythm of slicing vegetables, even the simple act of setting a proper place for herself. Not because anyone was watching, but because she deserved that small dignity. Margaret took another step and invited her neighbor over for lunch once weekly. Their shared meals became a highlight, filled with conversation and laughter that nourished her spirit as much as the food nourished her body. My health improved, Margaret shares, but more importantly, my outlook changed. I realized I'd been using delivery as a shortcut around loneliness, but it was actually making me feel worse. Delivery services have their place, of course. There's nothing wrong with occasional convenience. But when it becomes your primary food source, something valuable is lost. The connection to what truly sustains us, inside and out. Cooking isn't just about food. It's about rhythm, creativity, and self-care. It's about saying to yourself, I'm worth the effort, because you absolutely are. What's your relationship with food delivery? Has it changed since retirement? Share your experience below. 7. Unused exercise equipment that collects dust and guilt. We've all been there. That moment of determination when we decide, this time will be different. So we invest in exercise equipment, convinced that having the right tools will transform our habits and health. The treadmill, the stationary bike, the rowing machine, the weights, they arrive full of promise. We imagine ourselves stronger, more energetic, glowing with vitality. But then life happens. Jean, 70, from Michigan, knows this cycle intimately. Last winter, she purchased a premium exercise bike that cost nearly as much as her first car. It was beautiful, sleek, modern, with a screen that connected to virtual classes and scenic rides. For the first 2 weeks, Jean rode faithfully every morning. Then came a family emergency, followed by a bout of seasonal allergies, then a schedule change for her volunteer work. Before she knew it, a month had passed without touching the bike. The worst part wasn't the unused equipment, it was the guilt. Every time Jean walked past that silent bike, she felt a pang of shame. Not just for the money spent, but for what she thought it said about her character, that she lacked discipline, that she gave up too easily. That bike became a very expensive clothes hanger, Jean admits with a laugh now. But for months, it was a daily reminder of what I saw as my failure. Jean's story reflects a common misconception, that expensive equipment equals motivation, that investing financially will somehow overcome all the real-life barriers to consistent exercise. Here's the liberating truth. Your body doesn't need fancy equipment to get stronger. What it needs is movement, gentle, consistent, enjoyable movement that fits naturally into your life. Jean eventually sold the bike to a young couple who were delighted with the discount. With the money, she bought comfortable walking shoes and joined a senior Tai Chi class at her community center. Now I move every day, she says. Not because I'm forcing myself, but because I love how it feels. The walking group has become my social circle, and Tai Chi has improved my balance more than any machine could have. If you have exercise equipment gathering dust in your home, please hear this. You don't need to feel guilty. You're not lazy or undisciplined. You're human. And you deserve movement that brings joy, not equipment that brings shame. Consider what types of movement naturally appeal to you. Is it walking with a friend? Dancing in your kitchen? Gardening? Water aerobics? The best exercise is always the one you'll actually do and enjoy doing. Do you have unused exercise equipment at home? What movement brings you joy instead? Your story might help someone else let go of fitness guilt. 8. Overpriced self-improvement programs that promise too much. There's something incredibly appealing about personal development courses. They promise to help you discover your purpose, unlock happiness, or find that missing piece that will make everything fall into place. Sometimes these programs deliver real value, but others charge premium prices for wisdom you already possess. If only you'd listen to your own heart. Catherine, 72, from Colorado, understands this all too well. After retiring from a fulfilling career in education, she felt unexpectedly adrift. The structured routine, sense of contribution, and daily purpose that had defined her life for decades suddenly vanished. When Catherine spotted an online advertisement for a Rediscover Your Inner Fire coaching program, It seemed like exactly what she needed. The testimonials were glowing, the coach's credentials impressive. The $3,800 price tag gave her pause, but she rationalized. This is an investment in my future happiness. For 6 months, Catherine diligently attended virtual sessions, completed worksheets, participated in group discussions, and followed the program's recommendations. Some moments felt inspiring, but something nagged at her throughout, a sense that these breakthrough insights sounded strangely familiar. When the program ended, Catherine reviewed her extensive notes and had a realization. The answers they gave me were things I already knew. The wisdom they were selling was wisdom I'd earned through decades of living. This was Catherine's turning point. She stopped searching for external guidance and began trusting her own inner compass. She joined a book club at her local library, volunteered teaching ESL to immigrants one evening weekly, and started mentoring a young teacher just beginning her career. That's when my sense of purpose returned, Catherine shares. Not because someone sold it to me, but because I reconnected with what always mattered to me: learning, teaching, and making a difference. This isn't to say all personal development programs lack value. Many offer genuine insights and supportive communities. But the most profound growth rarely comes with the highest price tag. It emerges from connection, contribution, and listening to your own hard-earned wisdom. If you're feeling lost or searching for direction, remember, you don't need fixing. You're not broken. You're evolving, as we all are at every stage of life. That process requires patience, self-compassion, and authentic community, not necessarily a costly program. The most valuable course you'll ever take is the one called life. And you've already accumulated a wealth of wisdom from your journey so far. Have you ever invested in a costly self-improvement program? Was it worth it? Share your experience to help others make informed choices. 9. Brand new cars that rapidly lose value. Let's talk about one of the largest purchases many of us make, and how it can silently drain our retirement savings without providing comparable benefits in return: buying brand new cars. There's nothing wrong with wanting a reliable, comfortable vehicle, especially in retirement when safety and dependability matter more than ever. But what doesn't always make financial sense is paying premium prices for a new car that begins losing value the moment you drive it off the dealership lot. Meet Dorothy, 74, from Ohio. She had always purchased sensible used vehicles throughout her working years. But when her trusty sedan finally reached the end of its life, she thought, "I've worked hard all my life. I deserve something new and trouble-free." Dorothy visited her local dealership and drove home in a brand new luxury SUV with all the latest features. The monthly payments were steep, but the salesperson assured her it was a smart investment. Initially, Dorothy loved everything about her purchase: the new car smell, the smooth ride, the admiring comments from friends. But reality soon set in. After just 12 months, her investment had already depreciated by more than 25%. Thousands of dollars vanished. Because her budget was now stretched by the hefty car payment, Dorothy found herself making difficult choices. The weekend trips to visit her sister became less frequent. The art class she'd wanted to take was postponed. The donations to her favorite charity were reduced. "I realized I was driving an expensive car, but living a smaller life," Dorothy admits. "And that wasn't the retirement I'd worked so hard for." After much consideration, Dorothy traded her luxury vehicle for a certified pre-owned car, 3 years old with low mileage and remaining warranty coverage. Her monthly payments were cut in half, and she used the freed-up money to rejoin her travel club and book a river cruise she'd been dreaming about for years. "That cruise brought me more joy than any car ever could," she says with a smile. "I made memories that will last forever, while a car is just a car." The lesson Dorothy discovered applies to many of us. We no longer need to impress anyone. We don't need status symbols. What we need is financial peace of mind and the freedom to spend our resources on experiences that bring genuine happiness. If you're considering purchasing a new vehicle, pause for reflection. Ask yourself what you truly need versus what salespeople suggest you want. There are many reliable, comfortable options that provide everything necessary without the premium price tag of something brand new. Remember, the journey matters far more than the vehicle that takes you there. Have you purchased a new or used car recently? What factors influenced your decision? Your experience could help others make this important choice. finding freedom in wise choices. You've made it to the end of our conversation, and I want to thank you for giving yourself this time to reflect on spending habits that might be quietly shaping your retirement years. Because letting go of unnecessary spending isn't about deprivation, it's about making room. Room for more freedom, more peace, more of the moments that truly matter. The ones that don't come with a price tag, but stay in your heart forever. Perhaps you recognized yourself in Sarah's story about designer clothes, or Martha's experience with technology, or Jean's in used exercise equipment. If so, please know this, you're not alone. We're all figuring this out as we go. Every wise woman I've known has made choices she later outgrew. That's not failure, that's growth. At this beautiful stage of life, we're not here to impress anyone. We're here to feel lighter, to live authentically, to walk with peace in our hearts and kindness in our hands. So whether it's an outdated spending habit, a financial fear, or a belief that no longer serves you, today might be the perfect time to gently release it. Give yourself permission to breathe freely. Allow yourself to begin again. I'd love to hear from you now. Was there a moment in today's conversation that particularly resonated with you? A change you're considering making? Share it in the comments, not just for yourself, but for another woman who might need that spark of encouragement too. And if these words brought you even a small measure of clarity or comfort, please pass them on. Send this video to a friend, a sister, or a neighbor who might benefit from hearing that it's never too late to make different choices. Because this journey through our golden years is far too precious to walk alone. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself. Spend wisely, live joyfully, and always remember, the most beautiful investment you can make is in the life that still awaits you.